Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and it's Halloween time, baby. And this week we're celebrating the legacy of Psycho. Look at that bad boy, huh? And this week we're actually going to do a review of Psycho 2, the sequel, which I got as part of this triple feature here featuring Psycho 2, 3, and Psycho 4, the beginning, which I watch all the time. Because I think Psycho is great as a franchise as well, not just the original film. The sequels are actually really good. And most people, when they think of Psycho, they think of the original Alfred Hitchcock masterpiece. They don't think of the sequels, which is a shame because they're excellent, especially Psycho 2. It's an amazing, spellbinding murder mystery. And what a great cast. You got Anthony Perkins returning as the horror icon Norman Bates. You got Vera Miles returning from the original classic, who played Marion Crane's sister, who was murdered by Norman in that famous shower scene. So here in the story in Psycho 2, we pick up 22 years later after the events of the original film. Where Norman is at court and he's about to be released from the mental institution on good behavior. And of course, Lila Loomis is there. She doesn't want to see this happen. She's petitioning for him to be kept locked up in the mental institution or locked up in jail, whatever it takes. She doesn't want him to ever get out. Because of the murder of her sister. She doesn't want him to ever get out. But he's been on his best behavior. They feel he's rehabilitated. Especially his therapist, Dr. Bill Raymond, played by Robert Loggia. He deems Norman fit to be released back out into society, that he's no longer a threat. So Norman returns home. He goes back to where it all began at the legendary house on the hill. And back to the Bates Motel, which is now being run by Warren Toomey, this sleazy guy played by Dennis Franz of NYPD Blue fame. And he's just run this motel right into the ground. It's a haven for prostitutes and drugs and all kinds of craziness. So Norman, first thing, he fires that guy right on his ass. And he doesn't like it, and he causes a big stink about it, and he harasses Norman at every possible time, every opportunity. Norman gets a job at the local diner, and this guy Warren Toomey is harassing him at the diner, and he also comes back to the motel and harasses Norman there and says, "You crazy psycho, how can they let this psycho back into the world?" So, and also Norman, as he gets the job at the local diner, he meets this young lady named Mary Samuels, and he takes a liking to her. Maybe even in a romantic way, we're not quite sure, but he definitely takes a liking to her. And she's kind of down on her luck and doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anywhere to stay. So Norman actually takes her in. He offers to take her in. And he says she can stay at the Bates Motel for free, no charge. Wow, Norman's a nice guy, isn't he? And he doesn't even make her stay at the motel. He lets her stay up in the house on the hill. And, wow. So she stays up at the house on the hill, that legendary house where all the murders took place, and all the craziness took place. And some crazy things start to happen around Norman and around the town. Norman is starting to get these notes from his dead mother. He gets notes laying on the desk or all around the house. He's getting crazy notes from his mother at his work. He's getting crazy phone calls with his mother's voice talking to him. And we start to wonder, is Norman starting to go a little mad again? Or is his mother actually back from the dead? And then people start to get murdered around them. People start dying all around them. And we see the murders take place. We see the big butcher knife. We see the silver hair. We see the granny's dress. And then again, we're like, oh, wow, is this his mother? Or is Norman going crazy again? And then we get another plot twist. And that is the fact, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen the film, turn this video off. But I feel it's an important plot point that should be noted. And that is the fact that Mary Samuels is the daughter of Lila Loomis from the original film, Marion Crane's sister. And so then it becomes, wow, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to infiltrate Norman? Are they trying to set him up so that he gets thrown in jail again and accused of the murders? And what are they trying to do? Who's actually committing the murders? Then it becomes, is Norman actually going crazy and committing the murders? Are they just driving him nuts? Are they trying to mess with his mind with these notes and stuff? And or are they actually the ones doing the killing? Is it Vera Miles doing the killing? Is it Meg Tilly doing the killing, who plays Mary Samuels? Now, that'd be pretty crazy, wouldn't it, if Vera Miles was that crazy that she would actually murder someone to frame Norman? Would she go that far? And it becomes a real, mind bender, a spellbinder, if you will. And that's what I think is so great about the movie. It throws you in so many different directions. You're never quite sure who is doing the killing. And Norman does start to lose it as he goes along. So it really becomes, is it him? Is it him? Did he do it? That's what I love about Psycho 2. It's so masterfully handled. And it's so suspenseful. And it's so well directed. And there's all kinds of great camera tricks. And I love that they use a lot of the original score from the original film, which works so well. And it's kind of cool seeing how it's in color where the original was in black and white. And again, just an excellent, almost Oscar-worthy performance from Anthony Perkins once again as Norman Bates. And just the whole cast shines. Meg Tilly is great as Mary Samuels. Vera Miles is excellent again. As she returns as Lila Loomis. Robert Loggia is great. Dennis Franz is great. And you just gotta see this movie. I highly, highly recommend Psycho 2. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.